pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a reminder to everybody, the emergency exits are here in the front and there's one in the back.
Roll call. Mayor Moore.
Here.
Trustee Kim Trombley, excused tonight. Trustee Greg Martin.
Here.
Trustee Steve Southwick.
Here.
Trustee Amy Garrett, excused.
Now I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion or any changes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. And I guess, is there any comment from the public? Okay. Looks like Greg isn't here, so we'll have a report of the code enforcement officer by Tatro.
Yes, Mr. Fleming was originally scheduled to be here, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. We'll have to wait for him to reschedule, as this pertains to his Horizon Heights project. An update on the Catherine Zweer's issue. I spoke with the attorney, Mr. Keeble, this past week, and he's reviewed the village policy and what we need to do. He's supposed to be sending us some information, and there's some papers need to be served on her personal service. He said he would get somebody to do that, so we're just waiting for him to proceed to the next step. The Papillon building over on Church Street, I spoke to the guy who's supposed to be remodeling that. He was to come in with a plan, but he hasn't materialized yet, so he is on my list of things to do here in the upcoming month. I gave you a copy of proposed rate schedules. This is for your review. This is an idea. Basically, you have how the village charges now, and these are how I would propose we do it. The reason for this is the stuff that we do, these permits, these applications, stuff we have to send to the county, is time consuming. You have to pay me, you have to pay Donna, Juanita, everybody else involved. I just think that you should be charging for them. That's up to you though, but that's my opinion. So that's for your review, but I would like you to consider that for the next board meeting. We're short one member on the zoning board. I know the village board generally appoints a member. If you weren't aware of it, I'd like to make you aware that we do need another member. And I'm not sure about one on the planning board. We haven't gotten a letter of resignation, but it appears one of the members is out of the area. There's the zoning board meeting Wednesday night here. At that time, we're going to have the public hearing for the Price Chopper project, if anybody wants to attend. We got the comments back from the county and everything looks favorable, so I don't anticipate any other stuff, any problems. So that's all I have for now until we get to new business.
Okay, thanks Mike. Anybody have any questions for Mike? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead with the report, mayor's report. One thing we were notified of, and I guess we all know this, the rising costs have put a lot of pressure on local governments. And the state comptroller reminded everyone about the tight times and how we need to keep track of our finances very closely. We are still working on the water and sewer rates. That's going to take a little while, but we are working on that. I attended a conference with Woody on sewer, wastewater treatment plant management. It was a very good meeting, and they gave us a lot of tips on how to handle our wastewater treatment plant. So we're going to try and act on some of those in the coming months. And that's all I have. Anybody have any questions on those items? Okay, well, Trustee Greg Martin, report.
I met with Woody a couple times, but the board's going to have to address some equipment issues. I'm sure Woody's going to include those in his report. Also want to congratulate Woody and his crew on the work that they've done in the village. Many positive comments from people who live outside the village, Rouse's Point, town of Champlain, even Plattsburgh. People coming through saying how improved the village looks. And they're very appreciative. Yes, I'm sure we are. That's all for me.
Any questions for Greg? And if not, Trustee Steve Southwick?
I just wanted to comment on the streets. I think the streets that we did came out really well, Woody, and looking forward to next year. Looks like the numbers are good, where we projected they would be. Chips on it. It's helping make the village look better as well. The only question I had is about the crack ceiling thing. We're going to try to tackle that.
I'm trying to tackle that. I just haven't received enough information back for pricing.
Okay.
The one supplier was a little bit steep,
Okay.
and I've got two others, and they've been out straight this time of year.
Okay.
But I would like to get it done this month. We had approved that. I'd just like to get it done this month before the weather changes.
Good idea. That's what I was thinking. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any questions for Steve?
Did you meet with them for that?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up under the new things.
Okay, we'll have a report of the clerk treasurer.
The revenue and expense report has been copied for the treasurer and for the mayor.
Now I'll have the presentation of warrant and payment. This time would entertain a motion to pay the warrant for this month.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion?
Woody, there's the crushed stone, four different things, or four different amounts, did they? Is that here in the village? I mean, obviously here in the village, but where did that go?
Some was used on shoulders, some was used at the boat launch, and some was utilized as a stockpile. It was probably picked up at four different times. So there's four different buildings.
So the one on the boat launch will be taken with that grant?
Yes.
Okay. On the fifth page in, alchemy, environmental, I guess, laboratories, this is, obviously this is water testing?
Yes.
Okay, is any of this with the town?
Only one was with the town. It was $23 and some odd cents. The remainder is part of an annual testing that's required by the Department of Health. That's why the expenditures were higher.
Okay, so as we talked about last month, there will be a bill or something
Yes,
sent to the town?
I've coordinated that with the office and Juanita and Donna.
Okay, great. Okay, that's, I guess on page 7. Emergency part, Champlain, Peterbilt, 272.
That was the approval for the emergency purchase for batteries.
Okay.
For the generator.
Yeah. And I guess my last question, sorry. New England Waste Services Incorporated construction debris.
That's disposal of broken pallets and empty bags from the wastewater plant.
So that's just that's another expense with the sludge press.
Yes.
Without the sludge press.
Without the press.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of approving the warrant, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Mayor Moore, did you want to do roll call like we did the last time? I don't know if it's necessary or not, but I'll just.
Financial items, yeah, we could. All right. Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, we have several purchase orders to act upon. The first one is for bond letterhead and envelopes for correspondence for $179.75. Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion on this item? Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Moore? Aye. Second purchase order is a kit for a hydraulic adapter for the Ford tractor, so $255. Entertain a motion to purchase this.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item? If not, Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Moore? Aye. The next item we have is a drilling tapping machine for $655.85. Entertain a motion to pay this purchase order.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
How old is the one that we had?
Approximately 35 years old.
Long life, huh?
Yeah, this is a much more modern machine. It'll make the whole operation much quicker. As it turned out, we had to recap several tabs because we accidentally broke some laterals there, so really help us out when we have to make connections. Is there any further discussion? Okay, well, Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. The next item is a potable water pump from Seaward Equipment, $6,860. We entertain a motion to pay this purchase order from a fund transfer from F909 to F88320.2.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
How old is the old pump? The one that's burned out?
Was one of the original pumps in the, when they rebuilt the water pump, the well site. It's approximately 15 to 18 years old.
Yeah, the main purpose for this pump would be a redundant pump, so when the pump breaks down, we'll be able to still have two pumps. As we are now, if a pump breaks down and the other pump fails, we're without water. So this will enable us to repair a pump, have it rebuilt, while keeping everything online.
So would you put this one in place as the number one pump, or how would you do that?
They would be set up on a rotational basis
Okay.
and then just alternate through the cycles
Okay.
as pumps are needed.
Because we don't want them to all have the same life experience.
Right.
Are we just transferring $860 from you?
Yeah.
So we can set that budget for
Yeah, this is something we're gonna have to look at next year, is taking account equipment. We really didn't put much money aside for equipment for this year. We're gonna have to look at that next year. Is there any further discussion? Not, Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. And the last purchase order we have here is for an open channel flow meter. Just want to mention on the other one that we had 3 bids on that, and that was the lowest bid. And we had 2 bids on this one, we went with the lowest bid also. The purpose of the open channel flow meter is to be able to measure our wastewater flows, to be able to identify sources of infiltration, and also to be able to meter the border to find out how much water they're using, since we don't have a water meter. We would entertain a motion to spend $32.95 for an open channel flow meter.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Supposed to be hooked up at the border.
This is going to be utilized initially at the border sewer line. And once we have a handle on that, we'll be able to monitor other locations in the village where we have an I&I problem, so we can plan ahead for repairing sewer lines. It also would act as a redundant feature at the wastewater plant in case we lose our flow meter down there for some unforeseen reason. It can be utilized there and stored data.
Some correspondence to as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, number one, so we can,
Yeah, it's portable, we could use it all over the village, actually. Is there any further discussion? Not trustee Southwood?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, we'll have the report of the...
Mayor Moore?
Yep,
Could you sign those for us, please?
yes, I can. We'll have the report of the superintendent now.
Oh, jeez.
Do trustees have any questions on to my work report that was submitted
I'll take our main sign.
prior to the board meeting?
Anything on the Grace Hopper, the water problem there?
Just I've spoken to a couple engineers. They're still expressing their concerns with a low residual pressure for fire flows. I've sent them some information. I've sent them a copy of the map showing our map and distribution, size of pipes. I haven't heard anything back other than what information I've given them, and they're looking at maybe even helping us loop some lines to increase pressure in that area.
The possibility of grant funding
That's, I learned about grants and funding tremendously last Thursday when I was in Lake Placid. We currently have 4 items on the list for the state revolving fund. Our point totals are so low, they're not even being considered. You have to have a minimum of 130 points to gain any funding. They have to be reworked and resubmitted, and maybe we can come up with a higher total of points to receive some type of funding for upgrades of the system, the telemetry, the tank.
kind of the same thing the grant writers were working on.
Similar things, but this is the consortium of different agencies that will work with us, Health Department, DEC, HUD, and various others. I have covered a few things in the open channel flow meters, pickup days. I sent a memo to the board members concerning pickup days. I just misplaced mine.
October 11th and 24th, November 7th.
Yes. I've noticed piles already materializing on the sides of the roads already
Yes.
in the village. I'm also looking at hydrant flushing in October, the week of October 3rd to October 7th.
Are you comfortable with the width of the road and the
I'm fine with it.
project?
But as it stands, nothing else is changing until anything goes through the planning board before I'll agree to any changes.
Right, as it should be.
I had only received one quote on pricing for the 2 buildings we discussed last month that need repairs. Shazy Hardware was one. Samples hasn't sent me one. Prices are rather high. We're looking at $1,000. But it is for both buildings. Hopefully we can get that a little bit lower so we can get those done before the snow flies.
Would that wait till next spring after this
Yeah.
loss of materials, or I should say, increased prices associated with Katrina?
We can do that.
That's just a suggestion.
Yeah,
Because everybody
I
is
understand
building.
everything's headed down south for rebuilding, so. I would like to ask the board to look into establish a schedule of charges for water and sewer hookups, and also a rate fee for water meter repairs, and if it's the fault of the user. If it's just a mechanical malfunction, the user would not pay for it, but if it's something that the homeowner or the resident does to the meters, we need to establish that. It's $90 to replace a meter, and that's not counting the man hours to replace it.
I have a question. On the hydrant flushing and the pickup days, the board needs to agree on that, and then we'll have to publish it in the paper, so you can decide if that's okay, or that's normally what we do. Since September, we'll have to get it in the paper. It's good to know.
Well, okay, we need to make a motion for that?
I don't think that you need to make a motion. I mean, you certainly can, but you just need to make a decision if that's what you want to do.
Well, I know those dates are good with me, so you see? Yes.
The other, water and sewer funding seminar that both the mayor and I went to this past week was tremendous. As I said, we found a couple items that have been submitted in the past. They have every municipality in the state looking for funding. They granted 45 last year, or this year. So it's a very competitive field. If any funding is going to be obtained, it's going to be partially loans, partially grants, partially no interest loans. There's not any free money out there anymore to upgrade or repair systems. They also look at whether you maintain your systems and how well you do in maintaining your systems before they even give you any funding anymore. And the last item, I have some items to deal with equipment. The John Deere backhoe is becoming unsafe. I'd like to try to get through the winter with it and then put that up as a surplus. We'll just utilize that for loading the truck at the tank for sand and salt for the winter. Other than that, it shouldn't be driven on the road. And we're right now painting and priming a few of our pieces of equipment out back that have been neglected for a few years.
I had one question. Have we got the telemetry unit working now?
Yes, we do. That should have been in the report. I'm sorry if I didn't put it in.
It's
Everything's working. I'm still looking for an upgrade on that. Most of these engineers for their electronics are down south.
Do you understand how the fuel thing works with the fire department? I don't see here a note about a lock. No, it ran out.
We've ran out twice in the past 2 months, always at the end of the month. I've totaled up the fuel usage between DPW, fire department, and the EMS, and it matches the gallons that were sold to us. But we locked the top of the tanks due to the fuel prices increasing. They used to be just screw-on caps, so we just locked them. Just as,
Good idea.
Preemptive strike.
No, it's a good idea.
and I was a little concerned because we were running out and I thought somebody was taking it. And when I totaled up the numbers at the end of the month, and they matched, they were within a gallon.
That's good.
Just as long as we're on fuel, do we qualify for state contract too? Do we
We receive it at state contract prices.
receive it at prices?
Are there any other questions for the superintendent?
Is the Kane Street problem solved itself?
The Kane Street problem, the landowner, or the property owner has maintained their lines and took care of the low water pressure. The health department forced them to do boil water because the pressure was below the minimum standard of 20 pounds. And he's corrected it, and I received notification from the health department that he's done that.
Okay, so it says in your notes here, the line servicing the trailer on Main Street is plastic. Is that the-
It's a private line. It's was installed improperly initially. Village code states it has to be copper. Nobody was there to inspect the installation. Therefore, When nobody was looking, they put plastic in and buried it up real quick.
So when it freezes, we don't have to address it.
That's not our line. We're only responsible from to the meter. Once it goes past the meter, it's the trailer owner's, trailer park's responsibility.
Okay. And you guys taking care of
Whatever situations he had down there with his tenants in the health department have been taken care of.
Any other further questions for Superintendent Kissel? Okay, if not, we'll move to correspondence.
Okay, first correspondence is for New York State DEC regarding the Champlain Port of Entry sanitation sewer. Correspondence 2, correspondence and letter of recognition to Teamsters Local 687. Correspondence to Diane Brockway regarding the approval of the sewer reduction. Correspondence from Greg Fleming regarding the start of the Rising Heights project. Correspondence from Greg Fleming regarding Alan Racine's property. Correspondence from Clinton County Health Department regarding Riverdale Trailer Park low water pressure. Correspondence to Jim Noon requesting an extension to the Riverfront Park boat launch project and a response from Mr. Noon. Correspondence from Garfield Sorrell regarding Horizon Heights project on Prospect Street.
Okay, we'll now go on to old business, grant writers, we have no new information. Trombley siding, Woody, I would say that we should ask her if it's okay to proceed with the repairs.
I spoke to her this past weekend, she said yes. I told her we had to wait till the board meeting before I could let her know when we were going to do it.
I spoke to her as well.
Okay, did you have an estimate for that we could act upon, or?
I passed it on to
Yeah,
you.
no, I think I had it last month, but I don't have it with me now.
Didn't bring it with me, I thought you might still have it.
Okay. I remember that. Yeah, because we should probably act on it at this meeting.
I know that she's very gracious in allowing us that right away for $1 a year, and that we should fix that.
I don't remember what the dollar figure is right now. I think it was $730.
How are they gonna fix that with that? No, that's metal siding.
He has to order the material first,
Okay.
and because the ball was dropped with the previous board, he wants his money up front,
Okay.
so we can, because what happened, he had to eat the material last time. He ordered it, it wasn't followed up on.
Would we be safe in going up to $800 on the estimate? Probably should have a motion to do that, so we don't keep it waiting any longer. Probably be through the winter if we don't do something now.
Also on that note, she asked if we could do a little cement work on the wall right there where it's cracked underneath the siding a little bit, so that we can manage to patch that crack.
Well, we could do that ourselves.
Yeah, we're gonna do that our own crew.
I make a motion that we approve up to $800 for repair of siding from the residents next door.
Any
Second.
Any discussion? Not trustee Chombley. Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Salbert.
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. As far as the GSA infiltration problem and water problem, I think we're gonna be addressing that with the flow meter. That should give us a good read on how much water they're using. So that should take care of that problem. The parks grant, we asked for an extension until next year to complete the project. We're running short of time for this year, and we signed the papers. I believe that's gonna be extended into next year. Time Warner Cable franchise, we need another person, or persons to look at that. Have any volunteers?
coalition with the town of Champlain and the village of Rouse's Point.
Right, we're working together to try to make the same deal for everyone.
So it's across the board, kind of sort of, I look at that and think, well, confusing. Got me going in circles.
And I think if we all put our heads together, I think maybe we'll make some sense out of it.
I can do it, or
Doesn't matter. Whoever you choose, we'll
Want to flip a coin?
We'll flip a coin.
Does anyone want to?
well, it's got to be done, so.
Yeah. Are they doing like a monthly meeting, or how are they working this, do you know, Joe?
I'm not sure at this point. Mickey, would you have any idea on that either?
I know they had a meeting between the both villages and the town, and I think they were just waiting for more information, and I've really not heard anything more on it. I can find out, let you know.
Well, it sounds like Kim would like to do that, so she'll be the franchise reviewer.
I can give you input as to how far along that was. Thank you. That's the buck.
The abolition of the justice position, we've contacted the lawyer for advice on that, to see if it can be done this year, or if we'll have to wait another term. So, we have to wait on his advice. Junk law, we're awaiting a recommendation from the zoning board. Hopefully they'll give us a recommendation as to what they feel we would need.
They should be meeting Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night we're gonna be discussing that. Last zoning board meeting was pretty hectic, so we sort of put those issues when the schedule is not so full. Like we had 5 applications last month, so.
Fifth or 12th.
It's this Wednesday night, 14th, I believe. We've changed the date.
For this month's meeting,
Yes.
it's not tomorrow.
No, it's been changed from Tuesday. That was a conflict for me more than anybody else. And then we set the time, I believe, for 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Is that correct?
So it's every
It's the second Wednesday at
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
That was more agreeable for everybody.
Okay. Does anyone, I guess that's all the old business. Does anybody have any new business?
I have one. Last Thursday, myself, representing the village of Rouse's Point, the town of Champlain, Legislature Paquette, and Senator Little met in Senator Little's offices in Plattsburgh to discuss ideas about water and sewer in the area. And generally speaking, I think it went very well. I was glad to see everybody there, and I think we can probably get something real good out of this if we all work together. Her focus, ironically, ties out to what the comptroller's report was to you, that per capita, the state of New York has the highest expenditure for government of any state in the country. So her focus is to try to reduce the amount of money that's spent in government. And one of the programs that she's spearheading is a plan to try to get communities to effectively utilize resources that they have jointly. And she's got a bunch of ideas on how to do that. And she went so far as to say that she would sponsor a member item for us to do a study of the needs of the 3 municipalities to see what we could come up with as a potential joint venture. It was very informative. I was very impressed with Senator Little in respect to her willingness to work with us. That's all you can ask for at this point. It wasn't anything concrete. It was just, let's get together and talk about this and air it out a little bit to start with. And she offered up the money for the study, and we have to decide who's going to be the lead with regard to the study. If you want to add anything, the office is there as well.
But we talked about, in the village and the town here, that the water tower was probably the big issue. And this is when she came up with the idea of the member item, which I couldn't believe. I mean, I thought if we got her endorsement, we'd be coming home with something. So I was quite happy to see that, and talked about it with Bruce from the town, and we would like to form some sort of, I don't know, a cooperative effort to contact the engineers to do the study. I mean, if she's willing to pay for that, then we would know what it's going to cost, and then we can move forward from that point, looking for the funding for this project. And like Woody said, we went to those workshops on Thursday. Money is very scarce. I mean, you have to be pretty near destitute to get any money from the government anymore.
I found that you have to have some major serious problems before you really receive any money. If you try to do any preventive, try to stop a problem before happening, they say, hey, why? Wait till it breaks, then you'll get the money. That's exactly what some people told me at the table at the one-on-one session.
You know, fortunately, there is some money for joint projects right now. That's the reason we're able to look at this. So I'm very encouraged by that and hope we can proceed further with it.
So, tomorrow night is the town board's meeting, and I'm going to bring the same thing up there. But we need to pick and choose some sort of a lead agency, if you will, that's going to spearhead this. I mean, follow up on it, and it takes quite a bit of time and involvement here. I've got a bunch of pamphlets, handouts, or whatever, and one of them is intermunicipal cooperation. And I've read about half of it. I'm going to copy it, and I want to give it to everybody, and I hope somebody reads it other than myself, because a lot of these projects get started on the wrong foot, and there are bitter feelings from things that happened in the past that aren't relevant today, and if anything's going to happen, those things have to disappear. So I am optimistic. You have to be positive about these things. It's always not going to be a pretty picture, but reality is reality, and I think we have to do something, and she is very much behind this, these shared services. I still maintain that we can't keep three of everything within the town of Champlain in both villages, and I believe at some point in time that's going to change, and hopefully it'll change while I'm still young. But I'm going to bring it up to the board tomorrow night, and I can let you know what their reaction is. We can go from there, or however you want to proceed.
Okay. Is there any other new business?
I have just a little bit further discussion with that. If that study takes place and we have actual engineering numbers, current action engineering numbers, we can reapply for those things that are line items now in the state revolving loan fund, which may bring up our composite score to an area where we would be eligible for funding.
Like I said, I'm encouraged. I hope we continue to look deeper into this subject.
I think the water tower is crucial for any development anywhere here. I mean, the town needs it for all their proposed projects and with all these subdivisions, and people calling you with interest to do this and do that. Sooner or later, something's going to happen. I would just like to be ready when it happens rather than wait till it happens and then we're not ready. The area's been stagnant for such a long time. I think we need to move forward, especially with the border and the airport and everything else that's going on.
Do we know anything about what the requirements of the border are maybe as far as water and sewer?
I had a letter that I got from Tom King, the project engineer, in which his engineers gave him a breakdown of justifying how they feel that the water that they're getting now is adequate based on the equipment that they're going to put in and the tanks that they have. I mean, it all depends how you interpret that. I mean, our position is that they don't have enough water up there for all this expansion and so on and so forth. We just have to prove our point before we're going to get any assistance from them. And again, at that conference, that was, Bruce and I went to that thing also, looking for funding for this West Service Road project. And there is no money available on an industrial commercial project like that. We have to apply for economic development grants and loans to do this project. So to make that feasible, I think the government is going to have to come up with some kind of funding for part of this project. working with the Dory Kurtz on that. Senator Little is very big on jobs, 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 so if we can show where these jobs are gonna be at the border, we have people that wanna develop behind the buildings that are there now. There's outside developers coming in that follow these border crossings. So there's the potential there, but we have to make our case. And ultimately, the water tower is crucial. I'm starting to sermonize, so.
But as you say, the whole thing will be much easier if there's cooperation between the town and the village.
Yes. I mean, I think we have to have, based on what I'm reading in these handouts, you have to have focus groups that, you throw your ideas out there and bat them around and see where they go. You can't be getting into petty arguments about this or that or every other thing that happened in the past. And I think we're past that. I hope we are.
We definitely are.
Yeah, I think there's an openness.
I mean, the town realizes that they need a tower. I'm sure the village realizes that without a tower, growth is not going to grow here. I mean, Mr. Fleming's project, I believe, is going to hinge big time on a water tower for the water pressure up in there. And if we do get 35, 40 houses over a period of time there, that's going to be a big boost to the village. So I'm sure we want to be able to provide them the services that, you know, people that are going to pay this kind of money for homes are going to want.
Thanks, Mickey. You're preaching to the choir. I'm sorry,
Don't get tired of it though.
we missed a purchase order from, should have been under old business, it's been out there for a while, but we finally got the other quote for the garage door opener. And the lowest quote, as it turns out, is overhead door on Plattsburgh for $600. We should get that in before winter. So, we entertain a motion to pay for the garage door opener. So,
Second.
any discussion?
Is this still in last year's budget?
Probably could be.
No, I
I
would
think
say.
I think we're covered on this, so I think we have the money for it and planned on it.
I just thought we would set it aside.
No, I don't, I think if there was anything left, it would have gone into the fund balance.
Yeah.
Cash flow.
Yeah.
Is this one fit your needs, Woody? Will
This
it handle
is
that
what-
door?
It's what the people that install these recommended. We're just looking at, we had to have the brake in case it decided to free fall, stop it from free falling.
Well, if it cuts down on the chance of one injury, it's well worth the money.
Well, it's not so much the injury, it's destruction of the door when the truck is driving in. That's when we've actually hit the doors. With the spring will loosen up and that truck will come in and then take out the bottom two panels of the door. It's happened to me, it's happened to a couple of the other guys. You don't see it coming down, and next thing you know, you hear this loud crash.
This will boost it up enough
And
to.
it's not gonna free fall down.
Is there any further discussion? Trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Southwood.
Aye.
Trustee Moore, aye. Okay, I did have just one other item. I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the probationary period of the new employees. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into executive session. I would entertain a motion to make the two employees permanent as of the 14th of September.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Southwood,
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Is there any other new business? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.